This is TWiT.
Let's see. This was a very sad New Year's Eve for me because we had to say goodbye to two of my bestest friends, FarmVille and Flash.
Wah, wah.
They kind of went together, didn't they? I feel like they're buried in the same grave. Adobe killed Flash finally. And FarmVille, which was based on Flash, I guess kind of had to go along with it. Did any of you play FarmVille? I was badly addicted.
I never got into it because I recognized immediately that that's the kind of game that would destroy my life.
Yeah, and you were right.
Yeah, I did it for a couple of months, and then I realized I was spending way too much time doing it. But, you know, honestly, saying goodbye to FarmVille and Flash, it's just kill it. You know, I mean, seriously,
just kill it.
I got so sick on Patch Tuesdays of writing stories about this is the latest critical vulnerability in Flash. No, this one's even bigger.
Oh, God,
you know?
Flash was a nightmare. Just a nightmare. But FarmVille was a nightmare in its own way, too. I spent a lot of time farming corn. I remember one morning my wife got up. She said, "What are you doing?" She said, "You're farming, aren't you?" I said, "Yeah." So why don't you knit a sweater? At least you'd have something at the end of the day. And that's really true. I really recognize. But I have a weakness because after FarmVille, I played We Rule. After We Rule, Simpsons tapped out. And now I'm doing Animal Crossing. And I find I'm doing the same damn farming on Animal Crossing.
It's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Of course you are.
Yes.
The formula works, Leo. Of course they're going to do it again and again and again.
Oh, my God.
And there are sequels to FarmVille you can still play, right? That aren't based on Flash. There are still
the sequels are called Animal Crossing and Simpsons.
Yeah, I just described them all. Yeah. I think this was probably, for most of us, our first experience of dark patterns and evil addictions. And I always know with one of these games that I played it too much when I'm no longer enjoying it. At first, the first few weeks you enjoy it. It's fun. But when you kind of grit your teeth and go, oh, I gotta, that corn's going to go bad if I don't harvest it. And you fire the thing up and you're just like, why am I doing this to myself?
The Sims was the same way. The Sims and SimCity.
Yep.
Your city would decline, your Sims would die, and sometimes you get sadistic and you would want to kill your Sims, slowly. And so there's a lot of games like that where you kind of you cannot stop, and if you do stop, something dies.
Actually, in Animal Crossing, if you don't play, your house gets filled with cockroaches and I'm not kidding, and spider webs. Your crops rot, and you can go in and clean it up and start over. But your neighbors, because you have other people on your island, other animals on your island, apparently they're a little cross with you because you haven't been there in a while.
But coming back to what you were saying about dark patterns, Leo, I thought it was interesting that FarmVille and Facebook both really took off at around the same time because they played onto each other's strengths.
Yes.
And you were constantly checking Facebook and may as well check on how my farm is doing in the meantime. But I mean, as Dwight says, it goes way back to The Sims. You could possibly even take it back further. If you left Civilization running for when you weren't on the screen, you would come back and find barbarians and ravage the kingdom before you'd say boo to a goose. So yes,
FarmVille was named by Time magazine in 2010 as one of the 50 worst inventions of all time.
I'd go with that. Well, I mean, it's exactly the cycle of addiction. Addiction starts off with you do something because it makes
fun.
you feel good.
Then you do it.
Then you do
have
something
to.
because you feel bad if you don't do it.
Yeah.
Then you feel bad even if you do it. That's exactly FarmVille and Facebook.
Yeah. There really is something to be said, and maybe I should have seen this more as a larger warning about Facebook way back when. Because I honestly feel like Facebook is pretty much just FarmVille.
It's digital crack, but I mean, this has been going on for quite some time. I mean, if you go back to the 80s, I mean, Elite was one of the first games that really crippled people in terms of addiction. The BBC decided to do a news story on Elite because the news editor came in and found 9 out of 20 of his journalists were playing it, and the others were asking them how to get on as well. So, it's these things that computer software, computer games and narcotics have an awful lot in common, and they're increasingly designed to hit those same pleasure centers.
Yeah. Really
Well,
good.
how many hours of productivity have been killed simply by
I hate to think
Microsoft
about it.
Solitaire
Yeah.
on Windows?
Minesweeper.
You know,
Yeah.
or Minesweeper,
Yeah.
or Tetris.
I have to
Tetris
ask,
was probably
Leo,
the most.
how many donuts did you
addictive
buy?
Game.
Oh, a lot. But the thing that really frosted my cornflakes was at one point, my Simpsons Tapped Out town crashed. And I had credit for $300 worth of donuts still. But my town crashed, and I lost everything in the great crash of probably 2015. And you'd think I'd have learned the lesson. At least with Animal Crossing, there's no more to buy. So they just addict you for no good reason, not to make money just because they can, more than anything else, which is kind of sad.